Oh, hello. Today's video, we're talking about the Kill Team Community Map Pack that's been given a seal of approval by Warhammer World. And at the end of the video, I will review the entire map pack. There's a lot of slides, 76 of them, so settle in. So, first of all, we need to talk about where this maps pack has come from. So, there's a YouTube channel out there called Turning Point Tactics, who you're probably familiar with, but you might not be. It's a smallish channel. Actually, I think a similar number of subscribers to me at the moment. Maybe they've overtaken me a little bit, but it's somewhere around there. They're another Kill Team focused channel. You know that I like my tortured cola beverage metaphor. You know, I've previously said that in the UK Kill Team YouTube space, you know, you got Glass Half Dead. He's the Coke. You know, the original, the biggest, and then you've got Can You Roll a Crit, and he's Pepsi. You know, the plucky challenger brand, right? And I'm down here as the Sainsbury's cola beverage. Okay, and Turning Point Tactics are kind of the Fentimans Curiosity Cola of the UK Kill Team YouTube space, in that they are small, and you may not have heard of them, but they're really very good if you like that sort of thing. So it's a YouTube channel that's slanted very much towards competitive play. Don't let that put you off. They're really nice guys, and it is an easy listen. Emphasis on listen. They don't necessarily make the most use of the visual screen thing, but there will be a link in the description, so go and check out their channel if you haven't already, and give them a subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it helps all us YouTubers out, right? Anyway, for the purpose of the rest of this presentation, what you need to know is that they created a community map pack, which has been widely used in the independent tournament scene. Now, famously, I know less than nothing about the independent tournament scene. I don't do independent tournaments. I go to Warhammer World, right? And that's about it. Not that I have anything against the independent tournament scene. I kind of talked about this before. I have a social hang-up where I described this on the live stream last night. I kind of fear that I'm going to be trapped somewhere with somebody who is, in some way a raging maniac. And if you end up playing Warhammer, you know what I mean? You end up in a Warhammer game that you just don't get on with the other person, and they're being a bit of a weirdo, and you're kind of trapped in that scenario. And I always feel at Warhammer World, it's a very safe environment, right? But I probably need to get over myself and just, because I've actually, even, this is something I'll come on to in a minute, I've written on the slide, don't let that put you off, with reference to competitive play, because there's this stereotype, isn't there, from other games, that if somebody's really into competitive wargaming, they're a bit intense, and they're a bit kind of antisocial. Actually, these guys are lovely, and in fairness, I've not met anybody in the Kill Team community that I wouldn't describe as being pretty lovely. So probably I just need to get over my own hang-ups and get out to some independent events. And this happening that we're reporting on here is going to break down some of the barriers to getting me out of my Warhammer World comfort zone and going to some independent events, right? Because what Warhammer World have done, well, they sent out the following email on Monday. There was some other stuff in the email about using BCP, but this is the relevant part. We'd like to thank Turning Point Tactics, who've provided the Kill Team layouts we'll be using for this event. These can be found via the link below. It'll be in the description. Please note that in contrast to previous Kill Team events at Warhammer World, the rules for doors will be in use on the Morok and Octarius kill zones, in addition to Chalnath as usual. What doors are there on Morok? I'm sure it'll be explained. Where are the doors on Morok? Oh, the little door in the fence. I've never played with that as a door. That's really weird to me. I've always played with doors on Octarius because I believe doors should be there. I've never actually used the little... We'll get to the map pack. I assume they're in the little gate in the fence, right? In addition to Chalnath as usual, and the layout's been designed with the ability to use doors in mind. In addition, we'll be using a number of Killzone Vertigus layouts, and these can be found here. And again, I'll put the link to Warhammer World's Vertigus map pack in the description. We'll see you soon for an awesome day of gaming. So, my take, right, this is excellent. This really is splendid news. I've talked before when we were talking about... Oh, don't jump the gun, slideshow. I've talked before about my fear with Season 3 and the different things it could be, that the Kill Team community could fragment, right? And one of the issues that we could fragment across is terrain. If you have sort of culturally different ways of laying out your Kill Team games, that gives rise to very different metas. And we've talked before about how different metas might account for why the melee teams came out feeling very overtuned for a lot of people, because maybe Warhammer World have different kind of terrain layouts in mind compared to the community. And hopefully this adoption here of this map pack, maybe this flows upwards from the Warhammer World Events Hall into the actual game design, because we know Elliot's very hands-on, the lead dev for Kill Team, and he will probably be at the event being a judge, right? He likes to come and he's very involved in the competitive scene, so hopefully all the playtesting, at least going forward, will be done with these map packs in mind, and this will become the way to play Kill Team, right? That would be really great for the community. I think it would be really great for communication. It would be really great for... I just think it would be a really great thing. A really, really great thing. Positive. There are some little negatives, like personal ones, that I'll talk about right at the end. But overarchingly, my view is really fundamentally positive about this development, and it's really nice as well to see, Games Workshop in years gone by have had this attitude, well, if we didn't make it, it's not worth caring about, right? They've been a very monolithic, unapproachable, not very community focused company in the past, and this is great. This is really, I'm surprised and pleased and amazed that they've done this. So now I have to, as someone that only plays at Warhammer World and didn't really feel like the independent tournament scene was for me, I'm now going to review this map pack, so settle in. Really nicely laid out. And I've put their logo on every slide just so nobody... I'm conscious that I'm making quite a lot of content with somebody else's assets. I think I'm in the clear because I'm commenting on it, and that's transformative, right? So please don't complain to YouTube Turning Point Tactics and say, oh, he's copying our stuff. Pretty sure having my little face in the corner and my words over the top is fine. And I'm pretty sure you want more people to know about your stuff, right? But just so nobody can think that I'm claiming credit, in addition to their small logo, I've put their logo in the top corner as well. So the first thing to point out is this isn't just... I just thought it would be some JPEGs with maps on, right? This is actually a really nicely laid out document that takes the trouble to reproduce all of the terrain. So if you printed this and had it at a table, it really reproduces everything that you need to know about terrain when you're playing a game of Kill Team. You've got all the traits there listed out. You've even got the rules for Vantage Point. Now, I don't think this is copied and pasted from the rulebook either. I think these are written out in a way to be more obviously understandable to people, like with the benefit of having played the game a lot, like to explain it in terms that need to be explained. So really, really great that we've got all those traits listed out, right? So now we're going on to the map pack. Apparently I've just had those twice. Okay, Killzone Octarius. Here we go. So again, we've got all the Octarius terrain pieces explained. The doors, the hatches, the barricades, oil pump, ramshackle wall, scrap pile, and you've got the unique actions for the Octarius Killzone there, the charge over and a scramble over, replicated on. This would be a great thing to have at the side of the table. There can be no arguments, no questions, no how do we want to play this. It's all just there for you. Nothing mind-blowing, but really, really great. So we get on to the first map layout. So this is... the way they've done this, each map that they've come up with is tied to a specific deployment type. So they've reproduced on all the cards, all 3 missions. All the maps, as far as I can see, will work perfectly well with all the different missions. That's not the problem. So if you wanted to play this with the cards, what you'd do is you'd draw your card as normal, and then you could just turn to the appropriate layout in this booklet for the terrain box that you had in front of you. And another thing here that's really key is that I think is really good and makes the game really accessible. this is literally, for all of these, it's literally the piece of plastic that you get in that Kill Team box. So if you've got the 4 boxes from Season 1, you've got all these options. You don't need to go out and buy anything new. You don't need to source anything new. You don't need to convert anything. You don't need to go, oh, well, we're not using these roofs or we're not using these doors. Everything is exactly as you'd think it would be. So what do I think about the layout to begin with? Well, you can see that they've gone for, it's an asymmetric layout, right? But it's not heavily asymmetric, right? And to my eye, and I'm not a pro player by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I feel like this gives, and this will be the test, right? If I can work it out easily and quickly, then it's hit the sweet spot, right? So I think that this gives, if you're picking your deployment zone on this map, I think you're going to pick to be the blue player, right? Because the blue has the benefit of the extra heavy cover on the objective there near their home quarter. They've got the oil rig on the blue side of the table. Okay, both sides have access to an easy vantage point. It's an exposed vantage point, but you can use the fly dash and then the barricade on a vantage to get your sniper set up turn 1 if that's what you want to do on the exposed piece. And then the deployment zones have you know, as long as you're happy enough to use the light cover, they've got a fair amount of cover as well for the deployment zones. If you're playing an elite team, you can crowd your entire team behind the little wall, but you've got that light cover there as well. You might prefer the red deployment zone, because I can see that you could use Scramble to get somebody over onto that objective number 4 straight away, which might be compelling, right? So there's swings and roundabouts. I like the layout. Obviously, there's people, I'm aware, and I mentioned this at the end, there's people that have played this in detail, and they'll know all the tricks about the way it is and the way it needs to be. But no, it's good. Oh, sorry, gone backwards. So the next one, centre. So again, hang on, let me just see. So actually, no, it does use the whole box. I just couldn't spot the little... Yeah, so again, it's just the same thing, right? And again, it's ever so slightly asymmetrical, right? Not by a lot. Ever so slightly asymmetrical, okay? And the layout's there. And again, they've given everybody that exposed, accessible vantage point near their deployment zone. So both sides have got one of those. What I mean by exposed is that the open edges of the ruin are facing out into the kill zone by and large. It's quite interesting to me that because they're off-center, the red side's vantage point, I think, probably has... I don't know, actually, because they're pretty even, aren't they? Like, they're because the way the terrain's in place, you can see how clever this is. Because of the way the terrain's in place, each vantage point can kind of cover. Really, it's the covering the 2 home objectives and the one directly opposite that's under the relevant vantage point, right? So each of those vantage points that's in the home is covering 3. And then the others are, pretty well obscured by the heavy terrain. I mean, the objective on the far right-hand side, both vantage points can see half of it, but neither of them can see to the other side of it. Really fun, really interesting map, actually, you know, and really clever, And then we've got flank. So, you know, you're seeing a recurring theme here, right? Again, it's slightly asymmetrical. Again, you've got both sides have got easy access to an exposed vantage point. I mean, not much more to add. I don't have the tactical nuance to truly like dig deep into these just from glancing over them. I do wonder how easy it would be if you were using these at home. How easy it is to set up the terrain and get it exactly how they have it. I mean, they've got a nice little grid here. Do we need to get a grid overlay for all our mats so that we can actually copy exactly how the terrain's supposed to be? Or, you know, are people capable of just eyeballing it? I don't know. But no, again, really good, really impressed. You can see the recurring themes. We'll look at this one. So now we're on to the short table edges. And again, you can see the same things are happening. So in this one, the blue player has a vantage point in the deployment zone. So if you want to, you can start straight on that oil rig Little bit of a trap though, because the orientation of the oil rig, like if you're up on there, you can't generally see through the sort of tanky bits on the oil rig. So really, as a vantage point, that's not doing very much for you. I guess you could possibly draw a line of sight off one side, slightly, like if you're on the far back corner of the oil rig. Let me get my laser pointer. I guess if you had a model here, right, you could potentially see things that were happening, this sort of area. But really what this is doing for you is just giving you an extra piece of heavy cover. So you do have 2 pieces of heavy cover on this side. I think actually putting a model up there might be a trap. But yeah, really interesting. Really, and very different from how I would lay out a table, how I would think to lay out a table. Really cool. Would like to give these a go. Battleground again. So they're all variations on the same theme. Very slightly asymmetrical. Okay. Both sides have got access to vantage, but it's exposed vantage, and they're not wildly asymmetrical. It's really cool. Really cool. Boundary. All the same stuff applies, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the tactical brain to truly appreciate all the nuances here. I love the way that you've got, like, the scramble terrain here is always going to come into play because it's always in places where you can scramble onto an objective, using the scramble terrain to really accelerate your move, if that's what you want to do, okay? So presumably, if you're 3, depending on the mission, but if can you dash? Scale's a bit hard, but could you dash to here, right? Scramble over here and be on that terrain within a turn. And then if you've only got 2 APL, that's you're done. But if you have 3 APL, either because you're a space marine or because someone uses the radio on you, they kind of loops or whatever, that's pretty cool, That's pretty cool. And then we've got junction. And again, you can see, again, the recurring theme. We've got a strong line of things in the centre that's parallel to the deployment zones, that's disrupting the lines of sight across the centre. We've got a piece of terrain on each side. In this one, we've got a piece of terrain. I don't really understand why you've been given a piece of light terrain deep within the deployment zone. I feel like that's going to be ignored, but maybe that's just because I'm not very good at competitive kill team. But apart from that, everything else makes total sense to me. Yeah, it looks really good. We got approach. And again, I realise I'm repeating myself, but it's pretty similar, isn't it? If you flick between them, right, obviously they decided on corner deployment. There'll be some reason for putting these pieces in here. I'm not. If you know what it is, leave me a note in the comments. Why are we putting these back here? Pass. Right. It's good. Front line, very similar. So these corner deployment ones, like they're changing it up ever so slightly, but they're very, very similar. That's not a problem. I'm not calling that out as an error or any kind of issue. But again, you can see that the boards, there's obviously a checklist of rules that they're going through when they're setting up these up. Oh, we want to have this, we want it to have this, we want it to have this. And especially on corner deployments, that does lead to very similar looking layouts, right? Okay. And then we go to Chalnath. So, Chalnath. So we've got all the rules for Chalnath given back out to us. I still haven't built... How many years has it been? I still haven't built my Chalnath set, but there are all the rules here for Chalnath, right? And then these are the Chalnath layouts. And this is really interesting to me because a lot of people believe you can't have a good Chalnath layout without some extra pieces, like, oh, there's not enough stuff on the thing, there's not enough this, there's not enough that. Well, we're going to see, aren't we, now, because these are the layouts that are going to be used. So it'd be really interesting to see these layouts at Warhammer World, where historically on their Chalnath boards, they've added in the Sisters of Battle, Cathedral, and all these other bits and pieces, and this experience is Chalnath out the box. Really interesting. So, contrast here, no one's got easy access to the vantage. There's only a little bit of vantage to go around, placed in the middle of the board, but because it's all heavy, it's pretty easy to deploy safely. You've got a lot of heavy terrain in your deployment zone to hide behind. Midboard's a bit sparse in some ways, but Challeng's always going to be like that. I think it's been a really interesting experience, and I would love to play on this board as well. You know, I'm really excited actually to play some casual games. I'm playing at the tournament for sure. Really excited to play some casual games on these setups as well. Another one here. That's really cool because it looks like I realise it's not what they're going for, but from a lore point of view, you can imagine that you're fighting in because the whole thing's basically square. You can imagine that you're fighting in the ruins of like an enormous, like in my head, right? And I realise nobody cares about this because it's a competitive play thing, but in my head, like this whole thing here could be one giant basilica. Right, the ruins. You know, you ever seen like Roman ruins? It feels like because the whole thing's a rectangle shape. It feels like you're fighting in these Roman ruins. But obviously not Roman, but like grimdark ruins. That's really cool. Same thing. So they use the small walls to give you a lot of safety in the deployment zones, and the big ruiny pieces are in the middle. Really nice. Big fan. Actually, there's a lot of care and a lot of thought gone into this, and I appreciate it. This was interesting as well. So again, the similar rules have things are in the middle. The big things are in the middle, and the ruins have been used. We've got this little ruin coming out here to create a little bit of base here. That's cool. That's novel. That's interesting. Big fan. Big fan. Big fan. And again, it's the same thing. So all these, again, obviously they've got a paradigm in mind, and they're just moving things around on that paradigm to make it new and make it interesting. But I think these are really good for what they are, guidelines. Everyone's getting the same experience up and down the country wherever they're playing. You know, I'm really pleased to have these. And honestly, the only reason I've never used them before is because I thought, well, these are a thing for the independent, which is obviously in my mind the more try-hard tournament scene. They're not for me, but actually I think using these would massively improve the experience of playing Kill Team. And kind of inspired me to at least put together the Chalnath terrain that we own and the Morok terrain that we own, so that we can have the full, not the Nachman, Morok's built and painted, the Nachman terrain, so we can have the full gamut of experience, perhaps. Another one, Battlegrounds. This one's interesting. You got this L shape coming into your deployment zone. I think if I was deploying in red, that might annoy me. Whereas blue has more of a nice time, right, with everything flat up. He's not got this bit, like, this is obviously here to mirror this, and presumably if you were to ask them, they wouldn't necessarily want this piece here, but they were using the pieces as they're provided in the set, right? This just means that it's more difficult to place your inventory to a degree. But apart from that, I really like the layout. I can't complain. And again, the big buildings in the middle. Really lovely. really well put together. Really lovely. Very similar, isn't it? I've got this big, massive piece of terrain sticking back into the deployment zone again. But apart from that, which I'm sure there's a good reason for it that I just don't quite grasp. But yeah, really nice. Really nice. And now we're on to the corner deployment. Again, with these, on the corner deployment, they've put a piece deep back within the corner. I'm not sure why. Let me know in the comments if you know. If you're a more competitively minded player, like, why do you want a piece of terrain in the middle of the deployment zone if you're on corners? Not sure. But apart from that, everything looks really cool. That's nice. A bit of a jaunty angle going on here. Right, it's going to be hard to replicate that exact angle when I'm trying to lay out my terrain. But again, it's nice. Sort of more open in the centre with the two big buildings on the two sides here. Really, really nicely put together. It's just, these things, you don't look at them. You're aware of them, but you never actually click on them. And then you're occasioned to look at them by Warhammer World doing a thing. And I'm blown away, actually, by the quality of these layouts and the care that's clearly gone into them, right? Someone's put the brain power in, so I don't have to, and that's my favourite kind of thing. right? Somebody else has really deeply thought about it, and I don't need to understand exactly why it's laid out how it is. For my limited sort of ability and kill team, the layout's really, really good, and I'm happy to play any of these. I can't see any problems so far. Yeah, really good. And frontline. Now, why does red get a piece in the deployment zone? And if it is important, but blue doesn't, I obviously there's something about corner deployments I don't get. Anyway, Nachmund, the least liked, kill zone, perhaps. So we've got the furnace, the regulator, crane, smokestacks, the pipes, the fuel reservoir, and the exhaust vent, and all the rules for the exhaust vent and closing the vent. That's good. So what they've added here, in the middle there, they're using, if I'm not mistaken, those are glass half-dead's markers, aren't they? They're using those as smoke ring. You see, that instantly makes Nachmund much more usable, doesn't it? They're using those as smoke ring markers. Hang on, lads. So here's where we get a bit fruity, don't we? So the fuel reservoir, which in Games Workshop's opinion is a single piece like that, they've taken it. Now, is that... This is where I don't know things. Is that do you get two fuel reservoirs in the set? I'm gonna, for the magic of the pause button, I'm gonna answer my own question. Hang on. You do get two of them. It's okay. So they've not. I thought it was half a terrain piece, and I'm like, that's not very good for the people that have glued theirs together. But no, they've just taken it and laid it down flat on its side, which hopefully doesn't roll around too much. Like it's clearly it was designed to be stored on its end, but that's a clever use of the resources in the box. It's a little bit concerning that the two smog, I suppose it will remind you to roll for them, the two smog stacks are right in the deployment zones. So if you're going to use them, they could turn on turn one and really mess things up. But I suppose that's one way of actually making sure they get used. This little corner of pipe over here, I must admit, it kind of breaks my... what's that word? Ludonarrative harmony? You know, where's the... Is it just a... Where's the... It's not really going anywhere or doing anything, is it? It's not really piping anything from one place to another. I'm sure it's there for really important balance reasons. It's just funny to me because it's all the others like go into the ground or they go into the smokestack or they're going into the ground appear plausibly something's happening. This is just some pipe. But apart from that, looks really, I would play on it. Just find this a bit funny. Moving on. Okay, so very similar, right? I have to actually go backwards and forwards to work out what's changed. Because we've still got these two bits on this side. We've still got the crane here. We moved some stuff around here. This is a bit better now. We got less of an orphan scrap of pipe on its own. I'm pleased. And we got this with the little regulators coming off the side there. And the smoke vents in there. This is... I'm going to have to get some extra... I've got some nice neoprene markers. Because for all people do... Glass sells some markers. And obviously they've got some of their own markers printed out on acetate. The idea of having to cut out a perfect circle with a pair of scissors... upsets me because I'm not the steadiest hand. So, but I do think if I'm ever going to make a Nachmund board at home, and my Nachmund stuff still isn't built, so it's not that likely. But this innovation of using objective markers here for the smoke rings is pretty cool. Especially if you've got two that are in a different colour. Maybe I'll just order some more neoprene objective markers in a different design, right, and use them for the two smoke things. But that's really cool. I would never have thought to put things on the side like this as well. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, and again, so similar. Again, we got the two. Really, obviously, I think we're probably going to see this in all the layouts, aren't we? We got that weird little corner of pipe again. I guess obviously they've got their ideas of what makes a mechanically balanced game, and they've got the terrain set. And I guess if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking they obviously think that there's not quite enough terrain. and how are they going to make the best out of what they've got, and this is how they're going to do it. I mean, this one looks, again, a bit bitty, doesn't it? Because you've just got bits of orphan pipe. But I'm sure to play on, it's really, really good. I'm just less... Does it mean Nachman was a less successful set? That I'm looking at it and going, this doesn't look as nice in terms of as a board to look at. Which is, you know, you want to have a fair game and a good game and a balanced game. You also want the board to kind of look like a board. There's probably a Games Workshop problem here. Like, in my head, this all does now look a bit abstract, whereas for the Chalnath and the Octarius, they don't look cool. Yeah, nobody cares, Phil. They care about the game. Nobody cares about the fun layout. This is the same thing, right? But now this has combined two things that slightly irritate me. Why? Why is it here? Like, it's not a problem. I'm sure I would have an excellent game on this board, and they've done a really good map pack. But you guys know my personality by now. I just get wound up by silly things. Why does the blue player just have to share his living space with the little elbow of pipe? I mean, the red player's got... Obviously, there's a reason. But at least this one, like, well, if you have a horde team and you can't fit them all there and there, you can lose a couple of inches of movement and have some light cover back here. But this one, like, there's cover here anyway. This is just here to... And you know what it is? I'm clumsy, and so I'm mindful about anything that I'm going to knock over with my fat hands, right? And then that's just going to get taken off after the first round when it becomes irrelevant, maybe. But, you know, this is just me. Oh, we're using the crane as a whole ass blocker for the red deployment zone. That's amazing. I love that crane. I've got a crane, a built one up there. It's off shot, but you can't see it. That needs painting. And then I've got the second crane. Mrs. T.I. was supposed to build and paint that one. I don't know if she ever will, but maybe I'll ask if she wants me to build and paint it. Maybe that'll be popular. Or at least build it, so we can try out all these maps properly and review them, right? Like, it's funny, because Zimbad's always said, I don't want them to do fixed maps, but there's so many of these. You could play each map once, right? And you'd still have all the variety you wanted. Like, this has always been Zimbad's argument of, if they do fixed map packs, people will learn them, and then it's boring, right? Because people know what they're doing on the maps. But if you have all the kill zones in your collection, you got so many maps. Like, I play one game of Kill Team a week, right? So that's 52 games of Kill Team a year. Okay, assuming that we miss none, and we're gonna miss some. There's sorry, I know I'm in the middle of the review, but you know what I'm like. I'm going to get sidetracked. Right, there's, let's just see. So there's 9 maps per terrain set. Okay. Right. So, I mean, embarrassingly long time in my head to do four 9s, but that's 36. Right. So, you're not going to play, at most, you're going to play some of these layouts twice if you play once a week for a year, right? That's not bad, right? And then you've got to remember that obviously you're not going to play over Christmas, and you're not going to play over Easter, and you're going to have things, you're going to get unwell, you're going to miss weeks, so may actually try, and then you're going to insert some Into the Dark, and then whatever Season 3 turns out to be, right? So if I've started playing with these now, I wouldn't probably get them all played before the end of the current edition of Kill Team. But I think we'll give it a go. We'll start with Octarius, that's what I got built, but we'll give it a go. I think, and we'll say, well, play this map, then this map, then this map, then this map. You never play the same map twice, unless you really play a lot of Kill Team. Play a lot of Kill Team. That's a lot. I mean, when I first, I'd never looked in this. I was streaming last night, and I said, I think all the Turning Point Tactics layouts for Octarius, right? And Andy from Glass Half Dead always comes into my streams, and I was going to his streams, and it's very kind of you know, we support one another. Well, mainly he supports me because he's the bigger channel. But and he came in and he said, "Oh no, you know, it's for all the different kill zones." I mean, it's the amount of work that's gone into this, right? I know I think it's funny. I think this is funny. This little elbow of pipe because I care about the narrative look of the thing. By the same token, I totally understand that's not where these turning points out these guys are coming from. I think it's funny. Please don't mistake my banging on about this for genuine criticism. I've got to insert some humour and giggles into the video, otherwise there's no video. It's just me going, this is a good map, this is another good map, this is a third good map, this is a fourth great map, you know. So please don't mistake that for genuine critique. I just think it raises a wry smile. Have we done this one? Yeah, we've done that one. Boundary. That's interesting again. So this one is, we've got this little corner of pipe. Let's call him Percy the Pipe. And every time I see him, I'm going to be like, oh, there's Percy. You got the smoke things that are going to interfere with your deployment, which I actually think is kind of cool. Smoke in the middle there to interfere with your shooting. Got some light cover here, heavy up here. Nice safe deployment zones, and the big stuff in the middle. I like it a lot. Junction. While I don't understand the mystery, again, of putting the terrain... It's corner deployment again. It's obviously a really important thing that I don't understand. I would just put that there, and I'd put that there. But maybe that's because I'm an imbecile. Who knows? Wow, they are similar, aren't they? Like, these corner layouts for all of them have been really similar to each other, I guess because they think there's only so many ways that you can do it on corner deployment and have it be a fun game. Yeah. That one's slightly different. But it's still pretty similar. And now we're on to Morok. Now, this won't be interesting because everyone says, oh, Morok, you can't... Morok's not a very good kill zone. You can't make a good... I love Morok for the look of it, but oh, lads, you're breaking my heart because I've glued my hab bunker together. Right, so what they've done is they've taken the hab bunker and they haven't glued it together along the centre line to give yourself two corner ruins. Right? But, like, that doesn't help me, lads, because I've glued my hab bunker together. It's also not clear to me, the hab bunker has this weird thing on the front. Right, now where's that on this map? Because the top-down view, is it up here? Is it down here, right where this red line is? I think it might be down there, but it's really not clear to me which piece has that on. But no, they've pulled the hab bunker out. And they've used these little corner things. They're going to get knocked over. I'm not being funny, but these little corner things that no one ever... These are for making cool little, like, doll's house things with your walls. So you can make a fun little square with the walls, and these are the corners to make the walls join up. And obviously, if you're trying to make it the best table for gaming that you possibly can, you've used these as, like... But I'm telling you, I'm too clumsy, and their footprint is too small. Like, you see, you had a glowing review, but the Morok one, I just... Like, I can't, unless do I try and pull my hab bunker apart with, like, brute force? I don't know. Let's see what the rest of the layouts are. See, we've got a hab bunker into it. Is there going to be a single... I'm going to skip through here. Is there a single one? Is there not a single one, is there? Is there a single one? No, you see, there's not a single one where they've... I was having such a nice time reviewing this map pack. Well, you know, yeah. I understand why they've done it. Right? Because they're wanting to make the best gaming experience that they can. But it's sad, because I'm sitting here going, I can't wait to try these. My hab bunker's all glued together, though. And that's one of the few sets that's finished and painted and varnished and everything else. So I'm going to have to see now whether I can get it to come apart. I was going to say one of the best things about this pack was they haven't... so I wonder if the Warhammer World guys have pulled all their hab bunkers apart then. Because they only had one set of Morok on the go. Maybe there's not going to be very much Morok there. Because historically, Morok's been one of the least represented tables at Warhammer World. I wonder if they've pulled all their hab bunkers apart. Let me know in the comments. Should I pull my hab bunker apart? It's painted, it's finished, it's varnished. Does it need to become 2 L shapes? Let me know. Let me know. Yep. Otherwise, I like the layouts, and I understand why they've done them. And they seem very... these little bollards are a little bit upsetting as well. I'll try it. But if I end up knocking them over all the time, this is the one layout that I'm the least enthusiastic about, it has to be said. And it's a shame, because I really like the look of Morok. I think it's I really love Dawn of War, so I love the look of it, right? Have they always got... I'm sorry, I'm going to skip through them again. Is that radar dish always on the landing pad as well? Yeah, see, which is interesting. So they're like saying, oh, we need more footprint, so we're going to pull the Haddock apart, but then we're going to squander some footprint potentially by putting it... And I guess because they don't want this big wide thing up here. But, yeah, it's interesting. Them little pillars just irritate me in a I'm sure it makes really good game sense, but in a visceral way, I'm irritated by the little bollardy pillar corner things. Yeah, it's hard to explain how I feel about this one, because it's also, to go back to the Warhammer World email where they said doors were in play on Morok. Right, just this is the... I'm going to have to use a different colour here. This here is the only door I can think that they mean when they said in the email. And maybe they were... Let me just go back to what's actually in the pack. See, in their own pack, they don't call out this door as being a door, turning point. So I don't think... See, there's something for them to FAQ. I don't think turning point tactics mean for this to be a door. But if we go right the way back in the PowerPoint... Sorry, excuse me, I know I'm going to give you motion sickness, but bear with me. Games Workshop in their email, here we go. Doors will be in use on the Morok and Octarius kill zones. Right, on the Morok. So what does that refer to then, lads? Like, I'm not trying to nitpick. I'm not trying to pick a hole. I think it's just Games Workshop getting carried away with things. But if we go back to here, all the way back to here, surely... Oh man, this door... of course! They mean that... Yeah. Because this is... I'm with you now. Because they've split these into ruins, and so they're not using it as one solid piece, the fact that there's a door on it suddenly becomes relevant. Is there a door on the front and the back of the hab bunker? Do you know what I mean? So the reason that's relevant is if we go here, is there a door here and the door here? Again, through the magic of pause, I'm going to answer my own question. Yes, there is. Thank you for the 360s on the Games Workshop website. So there's doors there as well on both short edges. I think on one of them it's slightly more centered, and on the other one it's slightly more off to one side. But, yeah, okay. All right, I understand now. So, assume this isn't a door, but these are, because that's what's in the actual, like, this bit. This is called out as being a door, and this isn't. Hopefully that's clear to everybody. I think that's what they're getting at. Good. It's because I'm not used to thinking of those doors as being things you'd ever use, because on my set, the hab bunker thing is glued together into being like a big metal hill. And Therefore, where would the door go? You can't. There's no fortified building. But obviously, if you're pulling it in two halves, do let me know in the comments if I should pull my hab bunker into two halves. I think we were up to here, weren't we? Yeah. Does it frustrate me that the walls aren't joined up into cute little squares like dinosaur fences in Jurassic Park? Yes, to a degree. You know, aesthetically, it's the tension, right? These guys, the Turning Point Tactics guys, they want you to have the most fun you can playing a game. I kind of want to arrange my toys in the most aesthetically pleasing manner and then roll some dice at them. I will give these a go if I can bring myself to pull. You know, you should always try things before you complain about them, right? And I'm sure they have done this for a purpose, but it's just... I'm just mentally coping with the fact that I'm almost certainly end up pulling my hab bunker in half. And it's interesting to me. It is interesting to me the radar dish is always on the landing pad. It's not really a landing pad anymore, is it? It's more like a giant radar installation, which still scans as a thing, you know. These are cool. These are... I don't have a lot of nuance to add to each one. I mean, it makes so much sense now you look at the layout and you realise, well, there's a door here and there's a door here. So everyone's got access to a door to pop ties out of. Everyone's got easy access to unsafe vantage. I mean, there is some heavy cover here on this one, but I think... But given the number of times they put that heavy cover on the deployment line, I get the feeling they kind of wish it wasn't there and they had two equal halves of a building. Very similar. Like, I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm just saying that obviously they've got, like I said, a checklist of rules, and there's only so many ways of building a board to those rules. Now, this was interesting, Killzone Galodox. So they haven't actually done any game design work here. They've taken Games Workshop's layouts, but they've just... The fact they've bothered to put this out in the same format as all of the other layouts in this little booklet to make it a really nice booklet, and they've done the layout work for it. I mean, that's just... They didn't have to do that, right? They could have said, and, you know, Galodox a separate thing. So these are all done for you here. It's just they haven't done nothing. It's just Games Workshop's stuff. But they've done that, and that's lovely. You know, it's lovely that that's been done here, so you've got everything. Okay? Right. So now we're on to... Look, the symbol's changed. So now we're on to the pack that Games Workshop brought out for this event, using their Vertigus Killzone. So this is something that they made a lot of sense when they first started doing tournaments, when they only had Octarius. Right, but they want to keep using their Vertigus stuff. Now, Vertigus is what they call... It's the terrain that came in the 9th edition starter box. Now, I don't have any of this terrain, so I won't be able to playtest any of these maps, and you can't buy it anymore. But if you have... I mean, I've got a container, right? And I've got pipe. I haven't got the cool Gothic pipes, but I've got the older pipes, the industrial pipes, right? So I won't be able to test this stuff, but it is cool that it's there, right? So let's have a look at their layout. Now, it's not totally clear what this set's made up of. So you got... What have we got? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corner ruins. No. So 4 small corner ruins, 2 big buildings without the floors, and 2 big buildings with the floors in. And then there's a container, and there's a length of 4 inches of pipe, right? And then this is the Games Workshop. So these are the little Games Workshop kill team objective markers that they made, which are fun because they made them specifically for Kill Team. They match the artwork on the official Kill Team sandy boards, and they've got a single orc skull in the middle to mark the centre point. And they are just cardboard, but it's fun that they've made those. They should totally give those out to event attendees because I would use them. You know, and it's fun that they match in with the boards. This is the second one centre. So, yeah. Interesting that Turning Point Tactics felt like a lot of people, when they're playing on Octarius, they disable 2 of the vantage points. Like they say, 4 vantage points is too many. Well, there's 5, but of the 4 corner ruins, they turn off 2 of them, or they remove the. It's interesting that the Turning Point Tactics guys felt they wanted to leave those intact. So there's all 4 vantage points are active. But on the Games Workshop Vertigus stuff, Warhammer World themselves, like there could be a flaw here. Here, right? And there could be a flaw here. And they've chosen to remove those, and it's just interesting to me the dichotomy between the Vertigus, which has the 2 pieces that have been modified, versus on Octarius, where actually they're not, they're all intact. That's interesting. I wonder if it's just because Turning Point Tactics feel that to get their pack accepted, they have to be more respectful of what GW have done, whereas GW themselves are just like, now we'll do this. Interesting. So I'm a bit confused here because there's 2 pipe sections, and here there's 2 pipe sections. In this one, unless it's hiding somewhere, there's only 1 pipe section, and I mean, there's no rule that says you have to have all the pieces on the board and all the layouts, but I'm pretty sure all the TTT ones did. Right? Not sure, but it's interesting. And now we're on to the short table edges. I think this is a more skewed, like on this one, the blue side has access to vantage in the deployment zone, and the red side is very far away from any vantage. Like, I don't want to say it, but I think that the Games Workshop Vertigus layouts are probably worse than the Turning Point Tactics ones. Just because this, unless I've missed something previously as we go through it, this is a more lopsided layout. And some people think there should be more skew for attacker defender to make it really mean things. But if you're on this layout number 4 at Warhammer World, you probably want to be picking the blue deployment zone. I would have thought. Again, I'm not a brilliant kill team player, but from here, I can see this, and I can see this, and I can probably see like a decent way into here. It's quite a commanding position that I don't have to work for. Stick a little barricade on there. Just thinking. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. I think that's just they've not done that previously, have they? That's just an aberration, that layout number 4, where it's really like these all feel very similar to the turn. I mean, this one, it's the container is a bit nearer to the blue, but it's not actually as egregious as it being. It's in the dead center on that one. It's in the dead center on that one. Right in the blue deployment zone on that one. That's pretty close to the center line. Like, that's fine. I still think that the red side has easier access to vantage in general, but it's not quite putting one in the deployment zone. Man, the red side here, though, actually, look at it, has more heavy cover, more vantage that it can access more easily. And it's closer into this one as well. And this really has a commanding view of a lot of the field. But I'm not an expert. Boundary. Well, this one's very balanced, yeah. That's close to symmetrical, isn't it? Obviously, there's a bit more. This piece of cover here is a bit bigger and more commanding than this piece of cover here. But it's pretty close to symmetrical in a lot of ways. Again, and they've copied, obviously, the Games Workshop and Turning Point Tactics all agree that we need this deep cover on the corner ones for reasons that I can't quite fathom. The mysteries of the deep cover on corner deployments. I'm sure you'll let me know. Yeah, same thing. same comments, very balanced, same piece of deep cover. Very similar. But just like on the Turning Point Tactics loadouts, map packs, it's obviously quite difficult to make very different corner deployments. Right, that's it. We've gone through the whole thing. And we've nearly been going for a whole hour. So my final thoughts are positive overall. I think these packs are great, and their adoption by Warhammer World is a great thing for the wider community. I think this could very quickly become the way that we play Kill Team, for its last year. And then we'll have to see what happens with Season 3, whether that changes up how we play anyway. I'm now leaning towards, if Warhammer World have done this now, does that mean that Season 3 is less likely to be an iteration on open play, and it's more likely to be something weird, water war, or warp war, or whatever it is, something a bit more odd? Maybe it means nothing, right? But that's how I'm currently feeling. It's worth noting that I have a massive disadvantage. Massive disadvantage for the tournament now. Not least because I've not played any Kill Team since the schools broke up, because me and Zimbad have been making use of the fact that we're on holiday to play some combat patrols, 40k, which is a longer game, so I'm out of practice. I've certainly played less than 10 games of Into the Dark, ever, because I actually really like Into the Dark, but Zimbad and I usually play on a Friday, and nobody wants to spend 20 minutes building an Into the Dark layout when they could just put the other stuff down and play much more quickly. So, if I had one criticism of this whole thing, it would be nice the map packs had come out way back when in the event pack came out, and then I would have got some practice in on them. Warhammer World does, and they keep doing this. They make decisions, and they send out these emails, and they change things at the last minute. I feel like an independent tournament would probably have said right at the start, oh yeah, we're using these maps. And everybody would have months and months and months of knowing what the maps are. Whereas now, the maps have come out, and look, I'm not getting my excuses in early. I don't expect to do well anyway. I'm not very good at Kill Team. But you are now at a massive... If you happen to have been someone who is in the London scene and goes to a lot of independent tournaments and plays on the Turning Point Tactics map packs, you're now thinking, oh, great, I'm very familiar with these, and I know my strategies on most of them. So you've got an extra, in addition to all your extra experience of actually playing the game, you've got an extra leg up. Whereas if they'd simply said when they first put out the pack, like, oh yeah, we're doing this. Now, I know they probably had to have levels of negotiation, and they had to put together their Vertigus pack, and they probably had to get it signed off by a manager that they wanted to reach out to the community and do all the things that they've done. I get it, I do. It's just a shame. Let me know in the comments if you've used these layouts. Maybe you habitually use them, maybe you occasionally use them, maybe you have thoughts, beliefs. Maybe you want to give me a heads up and be like, oh yes, on layout number 4 or on Morok, you want to make sure you do this, that and the other. Let me know if you haven't already. Should I rip my Morok Hab bunker in half? Do all the things. Subscribe, comment, like, etc. Consider joining the Discord. I'm going to put a link to Turning Point Tactics as well down in the description. Like I said before, go over there and give them a subscribe as well. It's free and it just makes everybody feel happy, doesn't it? And that's the end of the broadcast. A big thank you to all my channel members, who support me directly financially every single month. It really, really is appreciated, but especially to Nightfall_EDH, who has subscribed at the highest possible tier and earned himself a shout out at the end of every video for his considerable generosity in supporting this continuing endeavour. Right, cheerio. I hope you have a great rest of your whatever. Now, I should say, I'm recording this video in advance, which is very rare for me. Normally I record things, then instantly upload them. Because I'm going away tomorrow and this, that, and the other. I think this will be going up, if I follow my own plan, this video is going to go up on Thursday. It's currently Wednesday. It's going to go up on Thursday. So if you're going to be at Warhammer World, come and say hi. Okay? And if I've changed my mind and I upload this after Warhammer World, then hopefully we said hi at Warhammer World. Alright, cheerio, bye-bye, have a great one. Bye now, goodbye.